Hello and welcome into the Starcast Tokamark Studios. My name is Ryan Chambers, and as I rearrange everybody on screen, over to my left there is James. He's actually on the way home from the game and unfortunately had to see this live. And then to my right is Christian. We are Starcast Tokamarks. Welcome to the after game review for game number 4, round 1. Calgary wins by a final score of 4-1 tonight, evening the series at 2-2 as it heads back to Calgary for game 5. So it looks like there will still be a game 6. Just depends on who wins game 5 as to what will happen there in game 6. But regardless, guys, before we get into tonight's game, which we've got a lot to talk about, Zach was already ranting before we even got onto air here. But we want to recognize and thank our sponsor, DraftKings, for being our sponsor for our episode, for our podcast, and the entire Hockey Podcast Network. Thank you for them for doing that. Go and use that promo code THPN next time you're there. So overall, guys, what are your biggest thoughts at tonight's game? Because there's a lot to talk about, unfortunately, and most of it bad, not good.
I mean, for me, the big thing, yes, the officiating was bad, and that's the big talking point of all Stars fans after this game. But we end the night with 1 goal. Our best player is obviously Jake Ottinger. We allow 54 shots. We only have 35 of our own, and we're 1 for 6 on the power play. I mean, the Stars played a bad game. We did not play good at all. Our only good player was Ottinger tonight. And even our fourth line, we had to bench our entire fourth line pretty much for the last part of the game because they couldn't play. Gurianov, Radulov couldn't play in this game. So we can complain about the officiating all we want, and I think we still should because it was atrocious. But you're not going to win a game 1-0, especially when you allow over 50 shots.
Yeah, for me, really, the main thing was the Stars played really bad, but Otter should have been able to keep us in this game, and the refs kind of screwed that chance. So,
yeah.
I'm kind of halfway in between you guys, to be totally honest. Like the refs did not help in this game, I think, but they still made some really bad calls against Calgary too. So it's not like it was all bad calls just against Dallas.
But it's the gravity of the calls that they made against us. Giving them a full 2-minute 5-on-3 and a penalty shot off a one-handed hooking call, those are game-changing calls.
Yeah, but what are they
random
supposed
2-minute
to
power play earlier in a game is not a game-changing call.
Yeah. And that's how it was at the beginning of every period. It felt like it was at least two periods that we started that Calgary had a power play before the first 2 minutes were up. It's like, how are we gonna start our periods off at all well or offensive at all if we're just getting stupid penalties that probably shouldn't have been called? And also, just on the penalty thing again, real quick, it wasn't just that they were calling bad calls both ways. Is that they were missing some really bad ones against the Stars too. I mean,
they didn't miss any against Calgary. They added some.
They added some to Calgary, and they didn't miss any for them, it felt like. I'm sure there's some that were missing, but still, it was not fun.
But again, guys, I know y'all are not gonna like me, and neither are Stars fans when I say this, but the Stars had their opportunities. You can't score a goal. You're the first of the game, and then 21 seconds later take a penalty, and it was a penalty. And then y'all were talking about. Go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say that one was a weak call in my opinion too.
That's a weak call.
They were both standing still, and the dude kind of just it looked like he dove really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, and then y'all were also talking about the 5-on-4 when it became a 5-on-3. I mean, what are the refs supposed to? It was a very.
They're not supposed to call the first call. They're not supposed to call that first trip. That's not a trip. It's not.
Yeah, I mean the dude. It's not. It's whatever though, man. I mean, sometimes you get bad calls like that. It's just frustrating that it was happening all night long.
Yeah. But, I mean, let's get off of it, though, because we know the officiating's bad. Most people who watch this game know the officiating was bad. But, I mean, the Stars still only scored 1 goal and allowed over 50 shots. I mean, that's what we need to focus on more than anything, is the Stars played bad.
Right, and the thing is that as bad as and I'm not disagreeing with you either, Zach. By the way, guys, Zach was at the game with James. Man, I can't talk tonight. So he may interject every once in a while especially when I say something stupid. but Chris normally does that, so Chris will do it for him too. But anyways, yes, there's going to be bad calls both ways, but you can't let that define the game. And as much as it was a factor in tonight's game, it wasn't the biggest factor in tonight's game. The biggest factor in tonight's game was Jake Ottinger. And the fact that the Stars completely wasted he let in 3 goals and lost the game.
But
and it was one of the greatest outings I've ever seen out of a Dallas Stars goaltender in playoff history. And I've seen a lot of playoff history. I mean, I saw when the Stars won the Cup in 1999. The kind of saves that they're asking Jake Ottinger to make, and he's the only reason why this game is 4-1. It should have been 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, something like that. And he is the only reason why that this game was even close. I mean, you could point to a number of saves. The Toffoli save in the first period, the save that in the third period when he was literally sideways. He was literally making a right angle with the goal and made the save. And then on top of that, there were numerous other saves that he made that were not as high quality as those or as memorable as those 2 that I'm thinking about. And they just blew it. Absolutely blew it. When you get some sort of, experience out of that from a goaltender like Jake Ottinger, you should win the game. And they flat out blew it. 100% blew it. And I don't want to hear that, that's hockey and everything like that. They didn't get the job done for Jake Ottinger tonight. He did everything but score. Everything but score. Sorry, rant over.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, obviously. Every part of the Stars game was bad tonight, except for that, pretty much. So, offense is terrible, didn't get enough chances, didn't shoot enough. Literally, Tyler Seguin in the middle of the slot with nobody around him passes the puck to someone who's covered. What is that? The passing was awful tonight. Turnovers all over the place. The defense is terrible. You can't allow 54 shots. It doesn't matter if, we were still clearing in front of the net and everything. That doesn't matter. If you're allowing 54 shots, that's bad defense. I mean, there's no other way around that. We lose the face-off battle tonight, 56-44. We're the second best face-off team in the league, and we lose that. Even what we did well in the first period, the physicality, that's evened up. The hits tonight, 29-29. I mean, we didn't win anything tonight. This is what people thought Calgary was going to do to us when they were saying 5 games and 4 games. And they showed it to us tonight, and the Stars had no response for it at all, and they better figure one out before the next game.
Hey, James, will you go ahead and mute, because the road noise is really loud when you're there. And if you'll just unmute when you have something to say.
I'll just unmute when I got something to say.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, because it's just getting a little loud. But we still want your feedback on how you thought the game went, James. So just keep us coming and keep talking to us as we go. So, all right. So do we want to go ahead and just talk about the biggest winner and the biggest loser here tonight? Because
we could both give our same biggest winner. The biggest winner is Jake Ottinger. Outstanding.
In a way, could you say biggest loser?
No, no, he's the biggest winner. That's the second best playoff performance I've seen from a Stars goaltender, second only to Bishop in Game 7 against the Blues. I mean, seriously, that's it.
And I just don't see how we get star quality goaltending like that and not win the game. I mean, he was better than he was in Game 3. That's
better
scary.
than he was in Game 1, better than it was in Game 2. Yeah.
And that's scary going into Game 5, going into Calgary. Because, I mean, we've proven that we can win in Calgary, but it was a 1-0 game in all reality. So,
and this game pretty much was the first period of Game 1, except for all 60 minutes. I mean, the Stars had maybe 5 minutes in the second period that they had some pressure, and then obviously that is 6-on-4. Like, you better have pressure when you have a 2-man advantage. But I mean, it's obviously not good enough. We can't get into the zone. We couldn't get out of our own zone. It's all one and dones in the offensive zone. It's crazy that we even got to 35 shots tonight, honestly, in my opinion. So, and the first line has to score, especially when we're at home. Like, we're not going to win if the first line doesn't score. We're still a first line team.
Honestly, on the first line tonight, they kind of just got screwed on that one shift in the second where Robo was out there for like 2-3 minutes. He did not play on the first line for the rest of the game. he was gassed.
That
man.
makes a big
that
difference.
That was his whole night.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just unfortunate because they haven't shown up really. Our first line hasn't really shown up except in
What are you
game
talking
3.
Joe Pavelski.
That's what I'm saying. In game 3, Joe Pavelski showed up, and he also scored a goal.
Well,
And
the game winner in game 2 as well.
Yeah, but
I mean, they're
again,
still
it
the only
was-
ones winning us the game, but when we have one game where they don't score, it's going to cost us. I mean, that's what's going to happen when you have one line that scores 50% of your goals. They're going to have to score if you want to have a chance to win. They didn't tonight. We don't have a chance to win.
So let's go ahead and jump into this because we're gonna talk about it anyway. So we might as well do it now because we've already brought it up. But going into the third period, Stars are down 1-0, and Rick Bowness decides to move Jason Robertson off of the top line, and that top line becomes Hintz, Pavelski, and Kiviranta, and he puts Robertson with Ben and Sagan. Now,
I'm with James on that one. That one was forced. Like Robertson was that wasn't a strategic decision. That was a Robertson can't play at the same pace as he was because he was on the ice for literally. I think there
6
was a
minutes.
TV break in between, but I think it was like 4 to 6 minutes.
It was like 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes in his own zone, and then he went and played the power play after the TV timeout. So, yeah, I think that wasn't a choice that Bones wanted to make. It was forced. So, and that comes from not being able to pass in our own defensive zone, because that's what it was. We had 6 chances to get out of our own zone during that segment, and we couldn't make 3 passes. We really couldn't make 3 passes tape to tape, and that's why we were in our zone for so long. And I still can't believe they didn't score on that.
Yeah, so I really hope that's not a thing that will. I think I agree with you, Christian. I didn't really think about that, so that's a good point to make out that you and James did. But I really hope that's not a typical thing that's going to happen through the course of the rest of the series, because if that happens, we're really screwed. I mean, that line is the only line that can score for the Dallas Stars, and we haven't scored a lot as it already has been in this series. So,
and Robo really needs to get back on it. The longest goal drought he had during the regular season was 4 games. It's been 4 games without a Robertson goal. We're going to need one next game. I don't think you can come back to Dallas having lost 2 games straight. I mean, that's going to, and with Calgary with a chance to clinch, that's going to be a tough game.
And it's amazing how quickly it can change, because we were talking about we could be up 3-1 in the series, and now we're all worried about going back to Calgary. And
you're thinking you can do it, but there was no response. I mean, the Stars knew the Flames were going to come out strong. I mean, you can't go down 3-1. That's pretty much a death sentence. And the Stars had no response for it tonight. And it makes you think, like, is Bones getting them ready enough? Are the veterans getting them ready enough? It didn't look like it. Otter was ready.
Yeah, right. I mean,
he's going to have to keep doing it all series, because that's the only way we've been in these games.
I saw some stupid Twitter question is, are we going to see Wedgwood in game 5? I'm like, you're kidding, right?
That's
like a slap to the face if you do that to Jake Ottinger. Like,
no, that's just
I understood his reasoning. He was saying, oh, well, Otter's really tired. He's faced a crap ton of shots. Yeah, that
doesn't matter.
But you don't take your best goalie and not give him the chance to win game 5 when he's been standing on his head for your team. You give him that opportunity no matter how tired he is, because he has more motivation than any Dallas Star player.
And you're not going to be that tired after a full days of rest, no matter how many shots you face. I mean, that's just a foolish comment.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was stupid. What did you guys think about? And we've kind of gotten away from the biggest winner, biggest loser. We'll come back to it in a second. But I want to talk about the power play, because the power play in general, again, just sucks. It absolutely sucks.
It's still bad.
Well, so I'm going to jump in on this one because I knew y'all were going to say something like that. Honestly, it was the best. I think we undressed their penalty kill better in this game than we have the entire series.
It was the best of the 4.
It's still not good.
I disagree. I feel like we were actually passing the puck around, and we got several chances. We weren't shooting the puck when we should have, though. So I agree that from that perspective, we didn't execute on that part. But from a moving the puck and getting it into the locations where we can score goals, it was by far the best. I feel like we had probably I think 4 or 5 chances on 2 of our power plays that really could have been goals.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I mean if you look at the stats, we have 6 power plays on the night. We have 4 shots on 6 power plays.
You can't
And
have only
we
4
definitely
shots.
had the best chances of the whole series. That's definitely true, but 6 power plays, you have to have more than 4 shots.
I mean, also 2 of those were like partial power plays too.
True, but okay, we'll give them 4.5 power plays, and they only have 4 shots. It's still not enough.
Get back into the discussion of why the NHL should fix that statistic, because it's not really 1 for 6; it's like 1 for 4.5.
There's one.
Yeah, and really, again, like I was saying, they didn't shoot the puck when they needed to. So I agree there that they still have a little bit of executing to do. But if they take those shots, then I think we end up with probably 2 more goals on the power play. There was one where Sagan was in the middle and just passed it away.
Yeah.
And that one, just put the puck on the net.
And that's definitely good to take the bright side into Game 5, is that we did have better chances on the power play. We were at least entering the zone sometimes, and he's right. If we shoot more, we're gonna have more scoring chances. So you gotta take some positive from this game, and that's definitely one of them.
And I mean, I guess it's a good positive to have, but it didn't lead to anything. The most
important. You got a goal in the
statistic-
power play. It was on the rush again, but you still scored one.
But I don't know. But it was a moot point because it was already too late.
It wasn't a moot point then.
I don't think it was a moot point. Really, what made it a moot point was after they called a penalty right after we scored it. That sucked, man.
Yeah, that was a huge dive. that was one of the worst. It's one of the worst dives of the series so far. But
and I mean, when he did that, we still had 5 minutes left in the game. We're down 2. We just scored one, and we have momentum, and then the penalty just killed it. And that's really what made me really upset about the reffing in this game, was like any momentum that we had at any point in time was just instantly killed by the refs. It really didn't matter.
And that's from the first penalty of the game too. I mean, 2 minutes on Nemestikov for a hit to the head when he didn't touch his head.
Bull crap. Absolutely.
But even worse than that is that Yanni Hakanpää is high-sticked in the face and has to get stitches because of it. That's a 4-minute power play we should have had to start the game. Instead, we get 2 minutes of penalty kill for the worst call of the series.
Yeah,
I mean, that could have been the turning point of the entire game, is that one call.
Yeah, and that's my whole problem. Why I blame the refs more in this game is because we won the game in Calgary 1-0 because Otter stood on his head, and this game felt like it should have been that exact same way. I mean, the 2 goals that they had that really just sunk us was a 3-on-5 and then a penalty shot.
Yeah,
and that sunk the game. I mean, if in the arena the Stars were not playing that game at that point. The game was over for them. There's 8 minutes left in the game, and they were done playing.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that after that second goal.
And that penalty shot was a terrible call.
Yeah, that's an awful call.
Yeah, apparently you can't lift the stick anymore. So don't do that, because
and even if it is a hook, it was one-handed. You're gonna call a penalty shot in the playoffs for a one-handed kind of hook
in a one goal game.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And that's what I felt like the whole game. It's a 1-goal game for most of the game, and there's just these awful calls all the time, and it was. I mean, the atmosphere was still so much fun to be in, but it sucks when that happens.
Yeah, so why don't y'all talk about the atmosphere there? Because it's been a long time since the Stars have had playoff hockey at American Airlines Center, and we forget about that because we didn't make the playoffs last year, and then 2020 was the bubble playoffs. So talk about y'all's experience a little bit at the American Airlines Center tonight, Zach and James. How was it?
It was great at the start of the game. I went to several games back the year before the bubble. Was at 19. I think I went to 5 games that year. And I think this is probably the this was louder than it ever was then, even. So, kind of, it was great atmosphere. Even when we were down 1-0, it was fine. After that, after the error went out of the building after the bad call on the penalty shot.
Yeah.
And I do think Stars fans gave up a little bit too early because,
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of people left after that penalty shot. I was
going to mention that.
Yeah, there was 8 minutes left, and
Yeah,
so many people left. I was so pissed off at that too.
That one was very frustrating. Didn't like to see that, but I can get why some more fair weather fans would leave at that point because we didn't play well, kind of like what you've been saying. But still, I mean, it's a 2-goal game with 8 minutes left. Like,
Yeah,
Anything can
literally
happen.
one goal and it's right back on.
yeah, that's not a time when I feel like if you're a real Stars fan, you should be leaving. But we stayed the whole time
until the empty netter.
Well, it's the empty netter. But at that point, the game's actually
21
over.
seconds.
Yeah.
So I mean, with that, it is what it is. But at the start of the game, the atmosphere was great. But the Stars playing bad plus the poor officiating kind of took the air out of the building a little bit faster than I expected it to.
Yeah, it was really nice though, because like I think that's the longest my heart rate has been over 100. It was like straight the entire 2.5 hours. My heart rate was just like through the roof. It was so freaking cool. But like, and that's even with a 1-0 game in a 0-0 game for most of it. It was
a boring game.
Yeah.
Yeah, adrenaline's a great drug.
Boring. And even again after it was 1-0 going into the third, it was still so loud after that. After even like going into the third, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I've been trying to lose weight, and I think I might just have to. The Stars need to keep on winning games so I can go to more playoff games and just lose weight by going to them, letting my heart rate jump like that.
Yeah. It's just like the adrenaline in the stadium. Like while I was in there, I was having a hard time typing on my phone and tweeting and texting y'all. It was crazy.
Yep, I know the feeling.
Yep, I miss that feeling. It's been since December since I've been to a Stars game. So, and with where I live, it's impossible to get out there. Maybe if the Stars can keep it going, I can make it to a game next weekend if they win this series out. But we'll see. But I guess let me ask this, and then we'll go back to biggest winner, biggest loser, because we need to actually talk about this game in general. But where was that comment? Let's see. I can't find it. I can't find it, but I think this was it. Well, it's not really a comment. It's a question. It's more like a comment. Denis Gurianov is not very good at hockey. Neither is Radulov. Time to make some lineup changes. So that brings up the interesting point of the fact that you've got Thomas Harley, you've got Marian Studenic, and you've also got Jacob Peterson, who for some wild reason still has not made his way into the series. Is it time for some lineup changes?
Yeah, Hanley's not the problem, so there's not time for lineup changes on defense. But
Agreed.
Radulov and Gurianov both need to come out, and they need to be replaced by Peterson and Studenic. Like, they showed it was not enough compete tonight from either of them. Gurianov is so much faster than that. We all know that. I don't know what he's doing. Like, why? How can you not play your hardest for a playoff hockey game when the atmosphere is the way that Zach and James describe it? Like, I don't get that. So they both need to come out. Peterson and Studenic both need to go in. And, I mean, they can both sit on the bench, too. I mean, it's a pretty easy job. Bench warming is not hard.
And also, that was kind of the frustrating thing about tonight with Stars fans, is that when they left after that second goal, you could tell the players, like, they knew how many people were leaving. They felt it after that. They started playing way worse after that second goal went in. And really, I put that all on Stars fans.
Yeah, I was going to call that out too before y'all said it, but that's garbage. I mean, leaving in a 2-goal game is ridiculous. You can't be doing that, guys.
Well, in time on ice for Alexander Radulov tonight, 7 minutes for Alexander Radulov, and Gurianov with a shy under 13 minutes. So it's not like they're playing crazy high minutes or anything like that. I mean, and I guess this would be a good time to transfer into biggest winner, biggest loser, because there were one particular player that I really need to hamper down on, and it's pissing me off, and that's John Klingberg. I mean, it was just turnover after turnover after turnover. And then the reason why that penalty shot was even a possibility was the fact that he was not there and he was not paying attention, and he turned the puck over, and it went straight to the best player on the ice. And
I mean, gives them to Heiskanen too. I mean, he had plenty of turnovers tonight. Both of them have 3 giveaways tonight.
It was really bad tonight on the turnovers, and I didn't get to say my biggest winner, so I'll just say it in passing while we're talking about defense and how they're doing bad turnovers. I'll give mine to Hanley because I really thought Hanley played really well tonight. He's really been given a job to, from what it looks like on the ice, he's been given a job to clean up whatever Klingberg messes up, and multiple times tonight you saw him doing that. So, but yeah, the turnovers are absolutely off. We're really, really bad tonight.
Yeah, that's how the Flames had so much pressure and so many shots, because we just kept passing the puck to them.
Yeah, and like passing it to spots on the ice where there weren't even any Stars players at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like they were missing
to
passes
be
or
there.
like they just weren't connecting. There was no one there.
Yeah, it was dumb.
so get this. My biggest winner obviously is Ottinger, but I want to point out this stat. 50 saves on 53 shots, 41 of 43 even strength, 5 of 6 on the power play, and 4 of 4 shorthanded.
Yeah.
There were 2 chances in one of the last power plays in the third period where Calgary had the better opportunities on the Stars power play than the Stars did. But that's not even the stat I wanted to point out. Giving up 3 goals in tonight's game, Jake Ottinger has a 943 save percentage. A 943 save percentage. So really, I think this is on the Stars' best players, because as the biggest losers, because they didn't get anything taken care of tonight. And I mean, I don't know if we need to like look at Robertson for that, or say that's his fault, or if it's Hintz and say it's Hintz's fault. Well, but because we can't really point at Pavelski, because Pavelski has 2 game winners.
Goals,
And I mean,
you can still point at the first line. It doesn't matter. The first line has to score goals for us to win hockey games. I mean, that's the way that we were the whole regular season. So maybe it's not their fault, but the only way we're going to win is if they score.
Yeah.
So they've got to figure out a way to do it if they want to win. So
and really, I felt like a lot tonight was about intensity. Like the Flames were they were more aggressive all night on the puck. We weren't skating to pucks that could be 50-50s.
Yeah,
we weren't
they were
winning
way faster than us.
We weren't winning pucks on the boards. I don't have the stats in front of me, but how much time did Robertson end up playing on the night compared to his other line mates?
He had 20 minutes and 49 seconds.
Holy crap.
Hintz had 18 minutes and 53 seconds, and Pavelski had 18 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, and that's part of where I get, like, Robertson didn't have a great second half of the game, which is where we were probably more offensive. He just got killed in the second period, man. And you could tell after that long shift from him, it was like he was not playing the puck well. He was turning it over a couple of times. He was making bad passes. Really everyone on the Stars was making bad passes tonight. It was just a poor effort from everyone all around.
Yeah, and that's why my biggest loser is every skater wearing green. Because, I mean, we can keep talking about everything and go round and around, but really pretty much every part of our game was not good enough.
Yep.
Other than goaltending.
Otter is a freaking beast, dude. That save in the first period, oh my goodness. We had the perfect angle for that save on Toffoli. That was the sickest save ever.
Yeah, I truly didn't believe he saved it. I really thought like it missed the net or something. I truly didn't believe he had it in his glove.
Yeah, I thought for sure we were down 1-0 there, and I thought that was going to be the game early in the first.
Yeah.
And right before that amazing save, he had a really good save on Shillington too, who as Shillington made his way down to order. And I just wrote, wow. One other player that I did want to point out here is Hockenpot, because we could point out this. You can say whatever you want to about the 5-on-3 penalties and all that sort of stuff, but the fact is that right before that that original first penalty, Hockenpot turned the puck over 3 different times before he takes the penalty. So and maybe it wasn't like a real turnover. Maybe it was just like he couldn't get it out and he shot it up the boards and couldn't get it out. But either way, there were 3 turnovers that led to his penalty. So whether that was him or somebody else or whatever. So I mean, as mad as we can be at the refs, this is on the Stars' shoulders minus Jake Ottinger.
Yeah. And they've got to play better next game, and I think they will. I mean, they respond well. They have a lot of veteran guys. You can't really play worse.
Yeah,
and
that's one bright side is like I seriously don't think they could have played a worse game.
And they were still in the game too.
Yeah, and they were still
Otter
in the
kept
game the
them
whole time. I mean, we essentially played what happened on game 1, except the refs just had a few more calls against us.
I think that's exactly true, James.
And one thing I want to talk about, that hit on Miro, the elbow to the head, that is bullcrap. That was intent to injure completely. He goes in, he lifts his arm above Miro's head and then comes down on him. That was a garbage hit.
Yeah, that's trash. And that was at 3-0 too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was 3-0. That was after the game was essentially over, and he goes and does that.
Oh, yeah. Backlund 100% knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing.
And none of the Flames players will fight. The Flames players are a bunch of wimps. They won't touch Jamie Benn with a stick because they're a bunch of babies.
Well, here's one thing I do want to talk about tonight, and this kind of flip-flop for me. This is just an analytical point that I found. Tonight, it felt like the Stars were more focusing on the physical side of the game. Okay, and I'm not talking about.
I don't think so either.
I really honestly thought there were a lot of hits by both sides, but the issue is that in game 2 and game 3, Calgary was going in and basically just ramming any bodies they could. Anybody that was between them and the puck, they were just worried about the body and hitting the body. And that's how I felt about tonight's game, but from the Stars' perspective. And it's almost like it's flipped. Hold on.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
because here's the thing, is that while the Stars were trying to the Flames got away from the quote unquote dramatical parts of the game, Klingberg talking about that, trying to find somebody to fight. Tkachuk wasn't really, getting into any sort of those kind of fights or anything like that. And I felt like the Stars were, not as much as the Flames were in game 2 and 3, but I think they focused too much on that. And I think that hurt them.
I'm sorry.
And maybe
Ryan.
that was just me.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but you're completely wrong. There was, compared to the last 3 games, there was no hitting, at all.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly disagree. That might be true in the first period, but the rest of the game, especially the second, it was pretty wide open.
Yeah.
The third, there wasn't really a lot of hits. That's just not correct.
And that's one thing I wanted to mention about the second. I was terrified in the second when those chances started going back and forth. I'm like, this is exactly the way that Calgary wants us to play. Please stop.
And then they did it in the third.
Yeah, we had a break, but like a 2-on-1 break. And I was like, please just dump it in so that they can't get one back. Seriously, I said that out loud. I said, just dump it in, please.
Oh my goodness.
Dump and no chase? Question mark?
Doesn't matter. They can dump and chase, dump and no chase. Just don't take the 2-on-1. You're not going to score on it anyway.
The Stars don't score, so.
Yeah, the Stars don't score.
Probably one of the biggest things I saw was the lack of going in for those puck battles. I feel like the Stars were very bad at that tonight. There were several times where there, and one time in particular that I'm thinking about in the second period, we had 3 guys surrounding the puck, and a Calgary player skates through all 3 of them and takes the puck without getting touched.
Yeah.
So that that was bad. It looked like there was no fight there, even when it was a 1-0 game. So,
Yeah.
that was tough to watch.
And that was, oh my goodness, the stadium was so mad at the Stars for that. There was, especially while we were on the power
You could
play.
hear it. You
Yeah,
could hear it.
yeah,
I was about to.
No,
You could
on
hear
the power
it.
play when Sagan didn't shoot that puck, every single person
Oh.
in the stadium was screaming, "Shoot!" I've never heard a fan base cry more for shots.
I mean, the shots that we passed up tonight were ridiculous, and especially that one from Sagan. I mean, his center
And-
slot. There's not a better spot, Sagan.
And even at the end of the game, when there was like no one left on that 6-on-4 that we did, we were still like, everyone was just screaming, "Please just shoot the puck." It was like,
And then when they
anytime we
did, they shot
had-
it directly into shin pads.
Yeah, every time we had a chance like that, where the first guy isn't up on him and there's people in front of the net, like, shoot that, please. You don't have to worry about getting past the first dude, and if it hits someone down in the slot, it's either going to bounce back up to the point or it's going to bounce down and you maybe get a rebound chance. Like,
Let me ask this question, and I want to know what y'all think about this question. Did the Stars have the effort tonight and just not the execution, or was there just no effort, no execution?
We talked about it. There's not enough effort. I mean, Zach said the puck battles. We talked about the physicality. There wasn't as much of it. We talked about the speed. There wasn't as much of it. And the Flames definitely amped themselves up, and the Stars pretty much did the opposite and then folded. So
Yeah,
it's
and
definitely the effort thing. There's obviously some execution too. We had scoring chances, but
Especially
the
in
main
the
thing is
first.
the effort. We were outplayed overall in this game.
yeah, for us to be able to win this game tonight, we really needed to score the first goal. If we scored the
agree.
first goal tonight, we probably win the game in tight, because Otter sees that he has a lead and he's going to hold on to that even more than he did tonight, which was absolutely insane, by the way.
So keys to the game next game. I'm agreeing with James. You need the first goal. You need to have a great first period and you need to score.
Otter will keep you in it, man.
Otter will keep you in it. You gotta give him some room.
Give him something to work with, please.
I mean, 2 goals.
Yep.
2 goals, which seems not like a lot to ask, yet the Stars have only managed to eclipse that once. in this series. So I guess that is what needs to be changed.
Wednesday's game time was announced 8:30 p.m. Central Time Wednesday night. We need a response.
Oh, man.
So it's a 6:30 local start for Game
Yep.
5. That's
Well, the Stars
weird.
have had 8:30 local starts, so yeah, they can take some weirdness.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
8:30
I hate
local
the
time.
whole national television schedule
Garbage.
thing. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Chris. All right, last question. Who do we see in Game 5? Who comes out? I feel like it's pretty obvious.
Gurianov and
Peterson.
Radulov are out. Peterson and Studenic are in.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll take Radulov out. I think they'll probably take Gurry out for Peterson, because he's going to be more offensive than Guryanov is, and I don't think Studenic is going to be any more aggressive than Radulov is, honestly. And also we use Radulov on that second power play unit, which I guess we could use Peterson instead, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, but Peterson hasn't played a bunch of games in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Going
Yeah.
back,
There you go.
to
He's
the-
fresh.
still-
He's ready to go. The Stars look tired anyway, so
Yeah,
he
that's
should be
true.
fresh.
I feel like we see Peterson for sure. I just don't know what else.
If it's just one player that comes out, it's going to be Radulov, in my opinion. I know that seems crazy, but I think he comes out, Peterson goes in. If it's 2 players, I agree with you. It'll be it should be Radulov and Gurianov, because they're not doing anything. They're not noticeable on the ice in anything that they do. Radulov is making stupid plays at the offensive blue line. Gurianov is turning over the puck consistently in both zones.
Yeah,
I mean,
there were just too many passengers tonight. Too many
Yeah.
passengers.
Yep.
There was one driver and everyone else was a passenger.
Yeah. There's literally a
Yeah.
whole line who sat on the bench like they were on a flight.
Yep.
So, biggest game is always Game 5, is what the people say. So, we got a 3-game series now. Calgary has home ice advantage back. You got to answer for a game like this.
The nice thing is if the Stars win this game, they can finish it in Game 6, but they've
And
got to
that's
go
how
in and
back-
finish Game 5.
That's how quick the momentum can flip. You got a clinching game in Dallas. You got to think that's huge. But I mean, just the same for Calgary. They split just the same way we split, and now they're going into their home barn, ready to put themselves one game away from the second round. So that's how fast it can change.
Yep. I guess we can be semi-happy though tonight. Colorado did sweep the Nashville Predators, so
Nah,
I
that's
don't
just
care.
Sad. That's
I
just
don't
sad.
I care. I hate the Nashville Predators. Screw
I
that.
They
hate
didn't
them
have a
too, but
goalie,
we weren't gonna play them ever in the playoffs anyway. So,
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be a
So-
thing? 2 wild cards in this conference final.
oh goodness.
Wrap it up, Ryan. I'm
Oh, man.
tired of talking about this game.
All right, we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening and following along with us on the after game review for game number 4. We'll be back with you guys again on Wednesday. Start time is 7:30 for the Stars. or
8:30 Central Time.
8:30 Central Time for the Stars. Thank you, Christian. Please go follow us on all our social media accounts. Please leave us a review anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate the support that we're getting. Our download numbers have been absolutely insane the past couple of days. We actually charted at number 62 in the nation for hockey podcasts, beating out some pretty big name podcasts. So we really appreciate you guys listening to this. Please consider leaving a review and any comments that you guys have either here on YouTube or anywhere that you're listening to this, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. And as always, we got our merch store as well. That's the best way you can support us at starcastsuckermarkshop.com. Go and check out all of your merch options. We'd really appreciate if you guys would do that as well. And along with Chris, James, and Zach, it's good to have Zach tonight, by the way. Thanks, Zach, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I kind of forced them, but
Yeah, of course.
It's hard not to talk when I'm so frustrated at the game. I was really planning on staying quiet and just letting y'all do y'all's thing, but
Too hard.
Too hard, yeah. That's why we started this, right?
Yep.
Anyways, guys, hopefully we'll have better news on Wednesday. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Bye.